Hi everybody, I'm doing a pour here in this video that's using up some leftover paints. The puddle that I poured down there already is I custom mixed up sort of a deep purple burgundy and maroon sort of color. There's gold and black, and what I just poured around it is some bronze, and nope, not bronze, copper. I do have a white base coat down. That base coat is just a mixture of house paint and some Floetrol and some water. And I use distilled water all the time. So I'm just scooping up some drips there. This painting, I'm going to let you see some of the embellishment work that I do at the end. I always transform my paintings into something. Um, so as you know, the pour for me is just sort of creating a starting point for me for the painting that I continue with later on. So it goes all over the place, and I'll just be quiet now and let you watch. And sorry, I have no music. I have no clue how to do that, but I'm sure you have your own. So I'll just let you watch now, and I'll pitch in some comments now and then. Yeah, I'll just let you watch. So I was just going to say at this point, I should have continued with the tilting, added some more paint. I actually wasn't planning to make this painting with only that purple and black and gold puddle, but it just kind of worked out that way. I had a whole bunch of colors all mixed up that I was going to use that puddle just to run off the edges because it was leftover paint. So that was going to be my, help the rest of my paint colors flow, but I ended up having quite a bit of it and tilted it pretty much all over the canvas. In hindsight, I don't like the shape of this type of stretch. I wish I would have stretched out the top right and the bottom left there a little more, um, because this shape can not be too attractive to me in the end, and yeah, I just didn't like it. Anyway, yeah, should have stretched it a little more. Um, I'll just let you watch a little more here, and I've sped it up a bit. So here I decided to do something with the corners by way of just blowing out some of the paint colors, the stuff that's trapped underneath. That little area of the band, the copper sort of line there, the band. Um, I want to get rid of that, and the reason is because when I paint on my pours later, sometimes a hard edge line or a definite line like that is sometimes hard to camouflage and get rid of. So I'm just deciding to blow out some color and just fill both of the corners up. I'm kind of hoping at this point that the little cells that are popping up they sort of fill in a little bit more of the purple section, but it's not a big deal because it's just giving me an idea and a starting point at this point. You'll see that this painting dramatically changes, so you'll just have to stick around to see what it changes into, I guess, and I'll just let you watch again. I'll just mention here too that there wasn't a lot of paint, so it was a little difficult to move it, so I do have to add a fair bit more paint. And I'm not loving that bright pink color, so I work at getting rid of that a little bit too. When I get cells along an edge like that, I usually, if I'm going to blow it out, you see the other corner there, you can sort of see that the cells are a little stretched out. They don't have a hard line around the side of them. So that's why I'm working to sort of dig out that gray sort of paint line there, but there's just nothing underneath to dig it out. There's no movement there, so I'm just keeping in mind that I'll have to probably paint a fair bit on that area once I'm ready to do that. So sometimes I know what I'm about to do is going to create a mess, but sometimes you need the color underneath to keep working on it a little more again later. So I don't mean later as in when it dries. I mean like right now. I'm I'm trying to add color underneath, um, and I sort of want it in a faded out, peachy sort of pink kind of toned look with a little bit of gold. But I know the color has to be there first in order to mix with the white and create some of those soft kind of tones. And I know again that once it's dry, I can paint on it. So um, that is the method to my madness. Well, at this point I'm just popping on some colors in a little corner area, and I'm thinking I might just blow this little area out with my airbrush and maybe create a little bit of a floral area. But in hindsight, I'm looking at it thinking, oh, there's a lot of paint there. It's kind of way too deep to do that. But at the same time, I know that as long as in the end I get a dry surface, I can paint on it, a dry flat surface. So I just have some fun. Yeah, as soon as I started the airbrush, I thought, why did I ever add that white there? Really, I didn't need that, and it just added an extra bit of deepness, really, to the paint, the wet paint that's already sitting there. So it just makes a really messy situation, and I'm already knowing that this just isn't happening. So I'm just gonna keep going, and I even contemplate maybe scooping some of it up and scraping some out. But yeah, you can make a real mess. So then my thinking is, oh, maybe I'll just try to go a little bigger, and so I'll start adding on top of that, and then by the time I just make a mess. But yeah, note to self, it's already way too deep, and all that's going to happen is you're going to make a mess. So just to let you know, a lot of times um, I've done lots of florals this way, um, but it's nice to, like, if I had intended to only do that with this painting, it would have been good to let it all dry and then add in some little puddles and shape in some nice floral from there. That would have looked really nice, and you wouldn't have any other paints that you're mixing with, just your little puddles that you put down. But yeah, it was just kind of a experiment sort of situation, and that's how you learn. So I'll just keep letting you watch here, and you can laugh at my mess. Alrighty, so we have a real mess going on down there in the bottom corner there. So I figured I would just play around with the center, and sometimes I just kind of cover up some of the little cells that have popped up, because they just don't look right where they are, or I'll put some more cells in. And that middle color there that I used, that was completely custom mixed, and I used a lot of different colors in there to make that color. So painting over that wouldn't be so easy. I'd have to try to recreate that color. Not that that really matters, as long as I get close to it, but it's just easier to take care of some stuff while it's wet, while you're waiting for it to dry, and while you can. So I just go ahead and fiddle. So yeah, I probably work on this a little more, make a little bit more of a mess. I thought, well, maybe I'll try some bright background for the flowers. And here I go. I just shove more paint because it's so deep right up on and further into the center there. Awesome. Didn't like that at all. Um, Even more of a mess. Yeah, that's nasty. Okay, so we're just gonna know that we're gonna have to remove that somehow, or work with it somehow. So now I'm just having some fun with my airbrush. I'm just spurting little bursts of air and popping up some of the colors that are underneath that burgundy color and the white and bringing it forward. So just playing around a little bit, but now I'm just really playing and really making a mess, and really all that matters is that this painting ends up flat with no bumps and stuff, and when I look at it I know it'll dry flat and I can work on it once it's dry. So the mess I make now is just kind of irrelevant, but fun. That's what matters. So from there I decided, I did a few pours down the center, wasn't really liking that, so I scraped it off, and I decided to turn that center sort of into a sphere area. I had kind of a snow globe idea going on there that I thought I might work with, but didn't like that either, and changed it to this. And I'll just let you watch the progression of where this goes from until the end of the video. And I really can't explain how I do all the bits and pieces that I do, because that just comes with lots of practice and experimentation, and I just can't explain all the little bits and pieces that I do to create the rest of these pieces. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will just let you continue watching until I get to the final piece. So obviously this is a time lapse, and I'm just fiddling and putting in all that little funky area there. And all I'm trying to do is just sort of create something different and unique, and give some sort of different interesting areas. You may have noticed that it was sort of pink down on that lower right corner, and now it's changed to gray with a sort of a stone look. Going forward, this is where my painting sat for a very long time. I knew that I wanted to put in something in that sort of center circular area. And so then my search begins for the right reference photo and for what I feel the painting reminds me of. And that's where it ends up being what I did. Well, as you may have seen on social media, this is where it ended up. And I'm really happy with it. For me, this was quite an accomplishment to be able to paint this big cat. Some of this stuff is very intimidating, but I found the reference photo I want, and I was determined to do it. Actually, for quite a while I knew that this was the photo I wanted to use. I was just kind of procrastinating, I think, and finally I just got to doing it and got her done. So I'm quite happy with it. Thanks for stopping by my channel and checking it out. And now you can see that this painting actually did start off pretty pink, and the pink is now pretty much gone. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Have an awesome night.